Good morning. Welcome to the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. Well, we live in interesting times, don't we? And it gets more interesting, it seems like, every day. The temperature heats up, and I guess so do some tempers. At the Center for Spiritual Living, we hold to a philosophy, that wonderful paradox of the divine individual and oneness. And one of my favorite characteristics of the divine is harmony. In music, it's great to have dissonance if it gets resolved. So I am knowing for each one of you and for all of us, harmony and the dissonance resolved. Good day. We have a very wonderful service to provide you today. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to everybody in the virtual world. And we know in reality you're connected with us, and we love you. We miss you. I invite you to sing along. What a perfect tune to begin the service today. Change for the better. When something just feels wrong, I know change for the better.
Is always changing, and I know change will do me good. Life is always changing, and I know change will do me good. When I stay in one place too long, I welcome change for the better. When something just feels wrong, I welcome change for the better. Nature's pulling around us always. Change for the better, and I know change will do me good. Yes, I know I change for the better. Yes, I know change is all good. Life is always changing, and I know change will do me good. Life is always changing, and I know change will do me good. When I stay in one place too long, I welcome change for the better. When something just feels wrong, I welcome change for the better. Nature's pulling round us always. Change for the better. I know change will do me good. I know I change for the better. 'Cause I know change, it's all good.
Wonderful, thank you. Good morning to all of you who are love streaming our services here at the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. We are so very grateful to have you with us. My name is Linda Brewer, and we are a spiritual community where all are welcome. Hopefully that welcome will be in person soon, but for now, to keep everyone safe, we're welcoming you remotely from wherever you are. Our practitioner holding high watch from home this morning is Katie Hernandez. Throughout the service, she will be in prayer, knowing that the best and highest is unfolding in our service and in all of your lives this morning. Our prayer practitioner this morning here is Farrell Zeman. Our center is a spiritual community that teaches a philosophy for daily living based on spiritual principles and practices that are universal among religions. We honor every pathway by which people seek to know and connect with the divine, and we work on our individual consciousness so that we can help make the world a better place. And so today, as part of that work on our consciousness, I want to ask all of you to join me in knowing peace and compassion and love. Peace in how we choose to express our outrage at injustice, which we certainly witnessed again and again, but again this week. Compassion in how we approach righting what is wrong, and love in our own hearts so that we might act from love in everything we do in order to right injustice. So I ask you to join me in knowing that. And now I ask you to join me from wherever you are in saying with feeling our purpose statement. We are an open, welcoming community, celebrating our divinity, loving our humanity, and nurturing our journeys of spiritual discovery. Thank you. Don't forget that all the latest information and inspiration can be found on our website, which is www.spirituallyfree.org. Our theme this month is Listen to Your Heart, and Chamaigne Sharette will be our speaker this morning. Can't wait. Her talk is called These Hands. And after quite a long absence from the podium, our speaker next week will be Reverend Myrna Hurst. It will be fun to welcome Myrna back. We do encourage all of you to sign up for our weekly email newsletter and regularly visit the announcement sections on our webpage for all the latest information about our center, all the stuff that our home office sends out, and also information from our community leaders. I want to remind all of you that we do have a committee discussing how we might safely reopen, not with services as they once were, but with all the social distancing precautions in place. In the meantime, we're exploring ways we might connect together in a more interactive way. And I have a hunch Chamaigne might say something about that today. But if you have some ideas for ways for us to safely connect with each other, we would love to hear from you. You can send us a note on the website. And stay tuned for what's coming up. And please be sure you're checking the website and the newsletter. We have not yet heard from home office about the schedule for June's Cozy Concerts, which are happening every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night at 7 p.m. with some really incredible musicians, almost as good as ours. We hope none of them are listening. But tonight's concert is from Stowe Good, and here is a little preview of that.
Met him on the south side of the Pensacola Pier, a solitary soldier of the sea. He looked to be 100, but his eyes were crystal clear. And when I spoke, I swear he saw inside of me. He said, "You're trying to figure out the wherefores and the whys. Isn't life supposed to be a big surprise? And how it's gonna turn out is not for us to know. Life's a mystery. Enjoy the show, everything will be okay. In the end, my friend, if it's not okay, it's not the end."
Okay, so that's 7 o'clock tonight. You can go to our Facebook link and find out where that is on our website. In these challenging times, it is especially important to remember the blessing of prayer, and that we have professional prayer practitioners who are trained in the art and science of affirmative prayer. So if there's anything on your heart that you would like prayer for, if you would please send us a prayer request, you can do that on the website. The link is right on the homepage. We'll all be praying for you all week, and if you'd like to talk to a practitioner, just let us know that, and one of us will give you a call sometime this week. So please take advantage of that. I think Prayer is the answer to what's going on right now. We're going to pray. Treat and move your feet is what Ernest Holmes said, so let's do that. So right now I want to invite all of you to allow Farrell's reading and the centering music to open your heart and prepare you to connect to that sacred space within, and then Farrell will speak his word in prayer.
My reading today is from Ernest Holmes, and it is from the little book that is called This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. And I think it speaks directly to what we must all embrace. He says, "I know there is an inner presence in everything. I know that this presence responds to me. I know that everyone is an incarnation of God, that the living Spirit breathes through all. I recognize this Spirit and it responds to me. I realize that everything is alive, awake, and aware with Spirit. I commune with this divine presence. The Spirit within me reaches out and communes with the Spirit in everything and everyone I contact. It is the same Spirit in all, over all, and through all."
My heart is open, love moves through me. My mind is open, peace moves through me. God is the stillness deep in my mind. God is the love that beats my heart. My heart is open, love moves through me. My mind is open, peace moves through me. God is the stillness deep in my mind. God is the love that beats my heart. God is the stillness deep in my mind. God is the love that beats my heart.
So as I breathe deeply, I enter into that stillness within my heart, that stillness that is in direct communication with that creative force that created all of life. And in this place of this oneness with that source, with this source that flows through me, I feel it in my body, I feel it in every cell of my body. It sends shivers through my body and an embracement through my body. And I know that that Spirit is prompting me moment by moment as I carry out the tasks of each day. And I know that is true for all others as well by simply breathing deeply and connecting with that source energy that flows through us readily and easily and supports us in every moment, every decision, every thought. We are one with that divine source. There is no separation. And so I give thanks for that knowledge, for that verification within me that God lives within each one of us. And so all is well, and we are loved. And I give thanks for this day and for these musicians and for the speaker who inspires us. And in that gratitude, I release these words into that law of being, knowing that it is so. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Farrell. I invite you to sing along with us. This is the last Sunday in the month of May. The theme for this month is Listen to Your Heart. And this song, aptly named, fits great with this theme. Last chance to sing it this month, so please sing along. What does love say to me now?
What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? Love says, hear me. Love says, hear me. What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? Love says, hear me. Love says, hear me. Love is the song of my life, and I will sing forever. Love is the song of my life, and I will sing forever. I will sing forever. I will sing forever. What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? Love says, be kind. Love says, be kind. What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? What does love say to me now? Love says, we're one. Love says, we're one. Love is a song of my life, and I will sing forever. Love is a song of my life, and I will sing forever. I will sing forever. I will sing forever. Love says, hold on. Love says, just breathe. Love says, let go. Love says, hear
It is my privilege, and this is really a challenge for a husband to introduce his wife. So I'm in my mind, I'm taking 10,000 steps or 10,000 miles away and looking at the big picture. From that vantage point, Chamaigne Sharette, who has studied New Thought for over 20 years. She is an angel in training. And if this was a certificated situation, she's certainly well beyond me. She aspires to be that bold, loving presence in the world. Her mind, her beautiful, angelic voice, I can't imagine that getting any closer to an angel. She is bringing us some special music today, this first song, one she wrote. And I'm so excited for you to hear her message today. It's just beautiful and powerful. So please welcome Chamaigne Sharette.
Thank you.
So when I grow up, I've decided I want to be like Mr. Rogers. I think a lot of people do. I've heard that his hometown is very proud of him. I was watching an interview with Tom Hanks after he played Mr. Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And he was in an elevator and just chatting with some locals, how's it going? How's the filming? What it's like to play Mr. Rogers? And then when this guy asking questions stepped out of the elevator, he turned back around to face Tom Hanks. And it was like, we take Mr. Rogers very seriously around here. And Tom Hanks is like, I think I've been threatened. I'm not sure. I don't know. But anyway, I can see why they take Mr. Rogers very seriously. I did too after I saw that film. He has a beautiful soul. He remembers everyone. He remembers their names and their spouses' names and their kids' names. And I don't know how he finds the room in his heart and in his schedule to care about so many people. But by the end of the film, you get to see one of the clues to how he does that. He would kneel down by his bed and pray every night. And then he would take out his little prayer book into which he had written all the names of the people he met, and he would read them one by one. So I decided on the spot, I'm going to do that too. And so I wrote a little chant to sing, and now Rick and I sing it as we read the names of the members of our congregation. So I'm going to sing that a little for you, but last night I had a download, and this poem came to me, and I couldn't not share it, so I'm going to do that first as a preamble to the chant. I've been thinking about things in the news and other stories that raise the tough questions about forgiveness. And this poem happened. It was one of those where it's hard to feel like the words came from my mind, but I know they came from my heart because they came with a flood of tears. I call this redemption. Blame is an addictive substance, a temporary relief from pain that corrodes the cords between their heart and yours, and it's hard to connect them again. There are actions that seem pure evil. To condemn is to stand for what's right. So how do you reconcile a belief we're all beings of light? To protect is the choice of wisdom. To protest is to voice the unheard. To grieve and to rage is human. Competing ideals get blurred. We're one in the arms of spirit. They too are the beloved of God. Is it a sin against your own heart to believe they're irreparably flawed? It hurts to love your enemy. It feels safer to vilify. To see good in the bad man is agony, because then you have to ask why. How does a loving husband go to work and kill by day's end? How does kindness and callous coexist in a poisonous friend? For those I love from a distance, because softness with them is not safe, I love them through prayer and forgiveness, though loving is much harder than hate. To wish the well-being of the wicked, not hold them to who they have been, not think them beyond redemption, but release them to who they'll become, is to rip off the armor of rightness, to feel all the tragedy that a future repentant son of God could do such things to me. And it goes just a little bit deeper to the Dalai Lama's tears for the death of Tibet's oppressor, who would suffer his karmic repairs. To truly love one's enemy is to truly love oneself, for only in that alchemy can the truth be, all is well.
May you be well and happy. May you forgive and be forgiven. May you see clearly and may you love freely. May you feel kinship with all living beings.
For all those who've been hurt and all those who have hurt,
May you be well and happy. May you forgive and be forgiven. May you see clearly and may you love freely. May you feel kinship with all living beings.
for all of us.
May you feel kinship with all living beings.
So the theme given to me today by Home Office was Love Guides My Hands in Divine Right Action. And naturally, the first thing I did to prepare for this talk was to take it into prayer and ask, Love, what do you guide my hands to do? And I heard a voice, an audible voice. It said, wash with soap and water for 20 seconds. So I ran to the bathroom, of course, singing, I'll go where you want me to go, dear Lord. But then as I went through the family room, I noticed my mistake. It was only Dr. Fauci on the TV. So I went back to my room and sat on my bed and asked again. This time I addressed my inquiry more specifically. Although God, as Dr. Fauci, gives some pretty good advice, I was hoping for something a little more transcendent, a little more poetic at least. So I asked, Infinite creative intelligence, what do you guide my hands to do? And I heard another voice, this time from my heart. It said, your hands are the embodied hands of God. Compassion is given life when you let it come through your eyes and through your actions, through your words, and through your touch. After you wash your hands. Our philosophy teaches that we are all the embodied hands of God. We're all the embodied life of God. It's a beautiful paradox. We seem to be separate, yet underneath that appearance, we're all one. We have this holy hunger to move toward each other and experience that oneness, we find infinite ways of creating in harmony together. Sports, business, church, family, individual relationships. We have this craving for unity, and yet it's our diversity that makes it so rich, so creative, so heart-expanding. We love our diversity, except when we don't. But even when we don't love our diversity loves us. Our diversity stretches us, challenges us to recognize ourselves in the most unexpected faces. Every Sunday when our service host summarizes who we are as a community, she says that we work on our own individual consciousness to make the world a better place. In my view, that means we work on our individual consciousness to learn to love better. That's what it all boils down to. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, loving well, and the value of spiritual community as a place to practice loving well. And by loving well, what I mean is we work on our individual consciousness so that we become less reactive and more responsive to one another, more present, more patient, more compassionate, and more able to cooperatively create together. And that is the beginning of a better world. Centers for Spiritual Living has a global vision, a world that works for everyone. A lot of people are thinking about a world that works for everyone right now. Amidst a global crisis, people start to think globally. I'm speaking of the coronavirus, although locally we've had other crises, and which I'll talk about a little bit later. There may be a lot of competing narratives about the coronavirus and what's happening and what should be happening about it, but still the whole world is thinking about the whole world. It's a little bit exciting. It's difficult times, but it's a little exciting. The earth is showing us our interdependence, and that's a powerful thing. This is a powerful moment in our history. What contributions will we make as individuals and as a spiritual community? Just like every situation in life, COVID-19 is revealing to us who we are. The way humanity reacts and responds let us know what's in our consciousness. We're seeing acts of selfless service, and we're seeing scams. We're seeing teddy bears in windows so that children will enjoy their walks better, since they can't go to the park anymore. And we're seeing nasty arguments on Facebook. There are all sorts of manifestations of love and fear and anger, hope, denial, mistrust, blind trust, widespread cooperation, tribalism. Everything humanity does is showing up to the party. Not surprisingly, we're seeing 1,000 narratives about what's true and not true and the hidden truth. These days, everyone has access to platforms that disseminate information. So that means the well-intentioned and the malicious, the individual and the most powerful organizations on the planet. They can all easily and convincingly promote truth claims, which we all get to sort out for ourselves in all our spare time, right? The loftiest ideals about respecting other people's beliefs can go out the window when the stakes are high. And the stakes couldn't be much higher when we're talking about a deadly disease and loss of livelihood and widespread economic disruption. So how do we practice love and compassion and respectful communication even when this kind of primal fear is arising in some of us? I've been thinking about World War II, and I notice I have a little bit of nostalgia for the relative unanimity of attitudes that we had here in the US during that time. I mean, now we may see billboards saying we're all in this together, but it's hard to feel that when we can't get much agreement on what this is. So I'd like to read you some excerpts from a letter. It describes life as a 6-year-old during World War II in Detroit, Michigan. It was written by Rick's mother just a couple weeks ago. Maybe she's thinking about World War II also. There's something about remembering other extraordinary times that puts me in a good frame of mind to ask myself how I want to show up in these extraordinary times. As I read the letter, I'm struck by how different things were, and yet how much the same? My dad volunteered to be an air raid warden on our block. He had to make sure that everyone in the neighborhood knew that when the air raid sirens sounded, we had to turn off all our lights and hide in the basement. I worried every time I saw or heard an airplane. Lots of things were rationed by the government. Meat and sugar were among them. Chocolate was completely unavailable because soldiers needed candy bars for energy. Silk was needed for parachutes, leather for boots. We could have only 2 pair of shoes a year, a challenge for a growing kid. Mom collected bacon grease in a jar, which she took to the butcher. It was picked up there so it could be used for soap for the soldiers. I stomped on tin cans to flatten them out and put them in a bushel basket to be collected. Coal was rationed, so we had to be mindful about how warm to keep the house. Dad took the bus to work. Gasoline was rationed, and people were to drive their cars only as necessary. I liked to walk to the bus stop and wait for Dad to come back from work, and then we'd walk home together. The radio was tuned to the news in the evenings. As the war progressed, I learned a new word: propaganda. Dad said those ideas sometimes were not entirely true. I asked him why some people said they hated the Germans and the Japanese. He said, "Oh, honey, those people in those countries, they're just like us. They don't like to fight, and they didn't cause the war. Right now, the leaders in Germany and Japan and Italy, too, are powerful and not very nice. We don't like what they're doing, but we don't have to hate them." We don't like what they're doing, but we don't have to hate them. I want you to fast forward to the present day and bring that phrase with you. We don't like what they're doing. Who comes to mind? Someone who's been cruel to you? People whose narratives about COVID-19 seem downright dangerous to you? People who promote propaganda? Or given recent events in the news, I imagine some more serious scenarios are coming up in the minds of some of us. It's just my luck to be preparing a sermon about being loving no matter what, and then have things happen that bring up difficult questions. Situations in which anger is not only justified, but useful. In these kinds of situations, action is needed, not just sitting at home chanting Om and declaring love and compassion for all humanity. It brings up an important point. Anger and love are not mutually exclusive. Consequences and love are certainly not mutually exclusive. I'd like to share with you some insights from Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron. These are excerpts and paraphrases from a recording called "Don't Bite the Hook." It was a live gathering shortly after 9/11. Not in response to 9/11, but it was a commentary on an ancient Buddhist text. But it's interesting that these words were spoken at another very hard time in our history. When pain comes up in our life, it's the moment of truth. It can wake us up or put us to sleep. It can make us more compassionate and wise, or it can make us more afraid, which makes the chance of escalating aggression and violence much greater. These teachings are instruction on how to work with your own mind. This instruction on tolerance begins with oneself. The basic instruction is to sit with the restlessness of the energy of those unpleasant emotions and not feed the energy with your thoughts by creating stories that justify and add fuel to those emotions. We're finding ourselves in a situation where many, many people are more vulnerable, and the situation is much more volatile. This teaching is about a kind of revolutionary patience, which can transform you at the core. If you adopt it as a practice, it might be that years from now, you'll look back and think, because I've been using this teaching every day of my life in difficult situations, it has made it possible for me to sit with this very difficult situation and feel kinship with all human beings, rather than buy into polarization. There's always going to be things arising in your life that are difficult. There will be unjust things, cruelty and violence, extreme self-interest, One thing you can say to yourself is, how did people get like that? Do I want to get like that by how I'm responding to them? Work with your side of the equation. The things that provoke you will become less. We're simple-minded when we get provoked. We feel angry and we don't ask ourselves about the complex causes and conditions, how it came to be, and what would be the most effective response. We have well-established strategies we use to try not to feel unpleasant things. We have to ask ourselves, do they really work? In our gut, we still feel like they will. If I just take that drink, or go slash some tires, or say the mean word, or vilify and dehumanize someone in my mind, it'll make me feel better. But has it ever? And if it has, for how long? It takes a lot of straight talk and loving kindness and patience with yourself to stay there. Feel the restless energy and just regard that discomfort as cleaning a wound. Like the things you put on a wound that make it sting, but you know it'll feel better in the end. The discomfort will pass. You can count on it. Pain creates pain, and patience creates patience. When this insight becomes real in your life, you become very interested in not doing things that will cause more pain, that will not sow seeds of suffering into your future. When we work with our own reactivity instead of blaming the outer circumstances, we bring our mind back to its natural state of flexibility, oneness, and curiosity. If there is harm being done, we see it clearly. And then we can speak and act in a way that's much more apt to achieve good results. We work on ourselves so that we can be effective instruments of peace, bringing down barriers between people. I love that Buddhist teaching that when we work with the small things of everyday life, we build up a skill that can help us in times of crisis. I'm going to dial back a little bit and talk about working with those smaller things. As I personally work with the fear and blame and judgment that arise in me, one of my guiding values is that I seek to treat others the way I wish to be treated, even in the privacy of my own thoughts. So when I find myself ranting in my indignant voice, something that happens far more often than I'd care to admit, about those people that just don't see the obvious, I have to stop myself when I remember and say, wait a minute. Most of the time, when I've become aware that someone else just can't believe what I thought or said or did, it's usually because I didn't. They misunderstood me. They believed some propaganda about my kind of people, or they believed a rumor about me. So when my indignant voice comes out, I have to entertain the possibility I might have misunderstood them. I might have believed a rumor. I might have believed some propaganda about their kind of people. And I don't just do this out of altruistic kindness. I don't want to suffer. Indignation, anger, and blame, and vilifying and dehumanizing can feel better, stronger, safer, at least at first, more empowering than feeling wounded, hurt, or afraid. But if I'm not strong enough to stay soft-hearted, charitable, and open to the possibility that I might be wrong, how can I have any hope that others will do the same for me? Here's an analogy. I won't ask for a show of hands because there aren't very many hands in here and I can see all of you. How many of you, when you were a kid, used to pee in the pool? I'm pretty sure we all did. But one day it dawns on you that your own willingness to shiver your way to the bathroom and fight with your cold, sticky bathing suit while standing on a wet tile floor is the only reason in the world you have to hope that other people are doing the same. The convenience of emptying your bladder while swimming a lonely lap away from everyone else comes with a price. Inevitably, you find yourself making mental calculations of the number of people in the pool divided by the cubic feet of water. Our faith in humanity begins with our own kindness. People come by their beliefs and their shortcomings just as honestly as you do. And you have felt the untruth and the unjustness when somebody has decided that you're unworthy of love and respect. When you give the benefit of the doubt, you give yourself evidence that people are capable of giving the benefit of the doubt. One fine day, I'll be so good at giving the benefit of the doubt that I won't find the prospect of others giving me the benefit of the doubt so doubtful. I just keep practicing. We all keep practicing. And practicing together is what spiritual community is all about. It's been 12 weeks now that our spiritual community has gathered all in person. While we've been apart, I've been pondering what it means to be a spiritual community. What's the purpose? What's the value? In my mind, it's three things. A spiritual community is a place to learn spiritual principles and practices, practice what we're learning together, and make a spiritual tradition available for others to discover. Whenever the universe closes a door, it opens a window, right? We're live streaming our services with great success, and we'll continue to do that once we all get back together. So what a gift. We're branching out and having online classes, and the ability to do that opens up a whole new world to us. Literally, I hear people talking about taking classes from a little housewife in Italy on cooking. It opens the whole world to us. But even though being online lets us interact with more people, it doesn't quite replace seeing each other in person, does it? If only I could bottle hugs. I keep thinking that when we're finally able to get back together, we're never going to make it from the lobby into the auditorium. Just break out the coffee and donuts because we're having a hug fest. I heard a minister say that every missed hug should become a phone call. That's a lot of phone calls. But I like the idea of redirecting our love in the ways that we can. I've been so pleased to hear that that's been happening in our community. People have come on hard times, and community members have rallied around to offer love and support. Fellowship in a spiritual community, though, isn't just about generic love and support and companionship. It is deeply soul-nourishing to be with people who share the same ideals, especially about foundational things like what life is for and what's possible. With these kinds of friends, we can pray together. We can talk about spiritual tools to make the most of whatever's happening. And we can remind each other to stay aware of how our beliefs and our thoughts and intentions influence what happens next. Being with people who share the same worldview is not something I take for granted. I spent a couple years living in a circumstance where I didn't interact with anyone who affirmed my worldview, at least not in my perception at the time. As I sank into depression, I indulged in some black and white thinking and broad assumptions, which made things worse, of course. But the way I described my experience then points to the value of spiritual community. I remember saying, I never even lay eyeballs on anyone who doesn't think I'm lost. It was surreal. I realized I created a lot of that, but it was intense, and a lot of us create a lot of that. So one day I decided enough is enough. I'm doing what it takes to find my people. I went online to look for a center for spiritual living in Utah, and I found one that was somewhat close to where I lived. I was so happy I cried. And I have been in New Thought for 20 years, and I sometimes do take it for granted. And then I hear people talk about how when they first found us, they just bawled for the first 4 weeks. I remember that. And that keeps me focused on the value of what we're doing here. So divine order showed up for me big time that day, because it was a special Sunday for me to find the Oneness Center for Spiritual Living. The spiritual leader for the whole international organization was visiting. It was Kathy Hearn at the time. And this meant there would be extra visiting and free food. It also meant that people who didn't normally attend the Oneness Center had driven up from Utah County, and Otherwise, I never would have met them, and some of them turned out to be my neighbors and my subsequent best friends. And best of all, for the special occasion, Al Goldman had wore his purple cape. Oh yeah, I had found my people. We became best friends right away, and he brought me up to the Salt Lake Center, where I now stand, and where I met Rick Sharette, who I later married. So the presence of Centers for Spiritual Living in Utah completely changed the course of my life. When I'm going through a hard time like that, and I muster all the courage and faith I can to believe that something greater is possible in my life, it makes a world of difference to have a friend who catches the vision with me and will hold a space in consciousness for my greater yet to be. And Alvin kept me sane. I had many a practitioner session with him where he reminded me who I am. So the call to action here is just to keep in touch with your friends from the center. Keep being the light in our community that you already are. And consider taking the time to reach out to those you know less well. I've made it my personal mission to call all 100 of our members, and I haven't made it very far down the list. I need some help, and I'd love your help with that. I want you to realize what a blessing you can be, because you don't know what someone's going through and how much they need a like-minded person who affirms their worldview, that we're all one, and that better things are possible. If you have ideas for helping people connect, like hosting a Zoom call after church on Sunday, which I may do, not ready to roll that out. Again, I'd like some help with that. If you'd like to help, please contact us and let me know. Or you may offer a socially distanced lunch in the park, sitting 6 feet apart. Or maybe even in your backyard, or maybe with just a few people in your own home. You could gather to watch the service and bring your own lunches. If you have ideas, please follow those instincts. It takes all of us to keep the community together, and our community is special. We have something special, and now more than ever, it takes all of us. In the broader community, please don't be shy about sharing with other people the thoughts and tools that help keep you grounded through difficult times. Our philosophy has a lot to offer this broader community. People are moving through this time, and they can move through it with more hope and ease, with your love and your support and your wisdom. And when people seem hard to love, remember to use that as a sacred opportunity to do your own deeper work, expanding your capacity to love and be present with others and yourself is, in my opinion, what life is all about, what spiritual community is all about. And as always, remember that what you put your attention on grows. So if you see the beauty and you find those hard to love, then love will start to grow. If you focus on the beauty happening in the world right now, then the scary things won't fill your whole field of vision anymore. If you focus on the beauty in what we have as a community, I believe that what will grow are opportunities to give and receive support for showing up as our best selves. And the world would love for you and me to show up as our very best selves right about now. Let's help each other do that. And now let's move into prayer. Here at the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living, we practice affirmative prayer, speaking what's already true into our awareness and into the divine law. We work on our own individual consciousness, so I'll speak in the first person, and I invite you to hear my words as your own if they resonate. I begin by taking a deep breath and remembering that there's only one thing going on here: God unfolding, God the good, omnipotent, the one omnipresent, intelligent life that is living itself as you and as me and as our whole planet, our whole universe. One life, one love, one infinite presence. I am fully and completely one with that divine life. I am made of nothing but God's stuff. and therefore all qualities of the divine are manifest in me and expressed through me. One of these divine qualities is order. When difficult things are happening, I trust that divine order is working all things together for good. I amplify this good by actively looking for it and celebrating it. I amplify it even further by participating in it, looking, how can I make good out of what's happening? I am an instrument of divine order. My mind is attuned to notice every opportunity to create beauty. Love guides my hands in divine right action. For this recognition, I am so grateful that this is so. I am so grateful. And I am at peace knowing that it is so and it is already done as my words are spoken, as together we say, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I give. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
We are so blessed. Thank you, Chamaigne. That was just wonderful. And I'm in tears, but I'm supposed to talk right now, so. We are so incredibly blessed at this center. We have so many amazing people here who share their gifts and talents with us, and you know, Chamaigne is right up there at the top of the list, so thank you so much. I love your heart. I love you. So now is our time of conscious giving, which in our center is one of our spiritual practices. It's something that we do for our own spiritual health and well-being. We recognize that many things have come to us through the divine flow, and that in order for us to participate in that divine flow, we need to not create a dam and hold on to things, but we need to release them and move them on. And so it is with gratitude that we do that, sharing what we have with our spiritual center so that it might continue to bless us and remind us of the truth of who we are and be here for those people that Chamaigne talked about who have walked in this door suffering. I know I personally crawled in on my hands and knees and was bent and broken, and this center helped to restore me to wholeness. We do understand that some of you are experiencing changes in your financial situation, and we bless you and know that good is coming to you. So for those of you who are still in a position to continue to give, please know that your giving means more than ever during this time, so that we can continue to bring these services to you. So in the spirit of gratitude for all that's good, I invite you to bring your gift into your mind, into your hand, into your heart, and let us speak together our giving blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Filled with gratitude, I let this be, and so it is.
All that I need comes to me.
We'll hear again from Chamaigne. Beautiful song by Sarah Groves, Loving a Person.
I always get him to schedule me for special music when I give a talk, because when I'm writing a talk, I know there's going to be a song. Oh, this song is perfect for this. So this is Sarah Groves, my favorite. Loving a person just the way they are, it's no small thing. It takes some time to see things through. Sometimes things change, sometimes we're waiting. We need grace either way. Hold on to me, and I'll hold on to you. Let's find out the beauty in seeing things through. There's a lot of pain in reaching out and trying. It's a vulnerable place to be. Love and pride can't occupy the same spaces, baby. Only one makes you free. Hold on to me, and I'll hold on to you. Let's find out the beauty in seeing things through. If we go looking for offense, we're gonna find it. If we go looking for real love, we're gonna find it. I'll hold on to you. Let's find out the beauty in seeing things through. Loving a person just the way they are, that's no small thing. That's the whole thing. Loving me just the way I am, it's no small thing. It takes some time, it takes some time, it takes some time, it takes some time.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Special day. So bring that light that you are out into your world. It doesn't have to be a big deal. A smile, just the intention, just as Chamaigne said, just looking for the good, looking for the beauty can bring about positive change. We love you. We miss you. Have a blessed week. Look forward to June. New music coming, some great special music and speakers coming your way. Tune in to spirituallyfree.org. Check out the website and listen to a recorded service or share it with a friend. It's easy to do. You can copy the link and send it to somebody. Thank you for your beautiful message and music today. Join with us singing our closing song today. Together, we can change the world.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe it's not too late. Together we can change the world.
Yes, we can.
Lay the puzzle pieces out, find out what it's all about. Together we can change the world. I can start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together rejoice. Together we can change the world. I can start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted, roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Change your mind and change your life. Set aside all fear and strife. Together we can change the world. When we open up our eyes, then we start to realize together we can change the world. I can start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been started, roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Together we can change